The UK is starting to establish itself as one of the potential early markets for hydrogen vehicles worldwide. That's a combination of government and car companies and gas companies working together to try to understand the way in which the rollout might happen.
We have an excitement in the city for new technology, and one of the things we would love to see is for London to be at the forefront of the transition from a carbon-based transport system to one that is essentially hydrogen or electricity-based.
Hydrogen is really coming up now in the industry, and we see inquiries about refuelling stations on an almost daily basis. There are now many hydrogen mobility programs developing around the world, and we're involved in many of them.
We started our infrastructure story in the UK with putting some very small fueling stations into university and research parks, and that was really for fueling 1 to 2 concept vehicles. What we're currently doing now is the next level of infrastructure development.
For us, it's a very, very exciting time. We now are looking at deploying hundreds of refueling stations across the world, and we're looking at scaling up our production to be able to do that. So we're not talking about projects anymore, we're talking about nationally coordinated programs.
We really see that there's a huge opportunity for hydrogen, and the key to that is bringing the passenger cars into the city environments to use the infrastructure that we're currently putting in place. We're really pleased to see that Hyundai are leading the way with their production of their fuel cell iX35s, and we're very excited to have them bringing the cars into London.
So 1,000 of those vehicles are now available for us to start rolling out the infrastructure. This is a key moment for hydrogen. Of course, we couldn't roll out the infrastructure without the vehicle, and of course the vehicle will have nowhere to refuel without the infrastructure. So that chicken and egg has been broken by Hyundai.
They've stepped out ahead of the crowd and said they are definitely going into production, and the others haven't quite got there yet. And what we hope is that by encouraging real thought leaders like Hyundai, we can spur the rest of the crowd into doing the same thing.
The date that everyone has in mind is 2015, and that's when they're going to produce these cars in significant numbers. So currently the aim is to build up the initial infrastructure to serve those cars. Once the cars start coming in their hundreds and thousands, then the infrastructure will grow organically to support those cars. Ultimately, the stations will become integrated into forecourts, and they will be used in the same way that people use fueling stations today for petrol and diesel.
It requires very little behavioural change. You get a thing, you stick it in your car, you fill it with fuel, and away you go. We're not asking for some massive change in psychology, just a change in fuel and technology, and that to me is the secret.
Car companies and infrastructure companies now need to work together to make that early rollout happen. Now we're into cost reduction and mass market, and it's that mass market entry that needs that coordination. We have the very lowest carbon footprint fuel that can be produced.